I know God breathe on this.
The
I know
new
God breathe on
brand
this.
for
I know
upcoming
God breathe
creators,
on
the
this. I know
Facebook
God
for
breathe on
creators.
this.
The community of creatives.
That's what collective is to me, is kind of giving creatives a voice.
Welcome home, family. We are back with another episode of Every Human, and today I'm thankful and blessed to be graced by my sensei and my big homies, Folami and Lester Shaw, founders of the Motherland. Today we're going to be talking all about wellness, creativity, and what it looks like to really create a healthy, holistic lifestyle so that we can keep creating wealth. Let's get into it. Folami and Lester Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you so much for gracing me with your presence today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, we're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the Every Human podcast. Lester, you were the first person I met in Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
You remember that?
Where
When I was in a hotel, remember I had hit Natalie.
Yeah,
And I was saying to myself, I was here for a business trip, and I was like, when I get to a city, I try to just like, all right, who do I know in the city? And I was like, oh, Natalie moved back to Tulsa during the pandemic. Like, let me hit up Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She's like, I'm not in town right now, but hit up L2. He'll get you right.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I did. And you got me right, man.
Indeed. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, so even with that, I think it's a perfect introduction. Because this is a question I asked. Who is Lester Shaw? Let's start there.
Lester Shaw. I'm a father first. I've worked accolade-wise. I'm a Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, producer. I'm a published author. I am an inspirer. I'm a lover. In my journey, I've been able to be me and, remain me along this journey. And it's been well to be able to create this me.
Yeah.
So,
And to one of those identities of lover in the context of you, I assume Folami
indeed.
enters in. So who is Folami? Let's start there.
Folami is a entertainer. Folami is an organizer. I am a visionary. I am always seeking the truth. I'm holistic in my approach to most things. I think holistically about whatever it is. It's always a 360 for me. I'm humble and I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm Afrocentric. And my accolades, I have a degree in musical theater from Howard University. And I performed around the world for the last 15, 16 years with a famous band. And I've gotten to see a lot of the world. I've gotten to travel around the globe in the air literally about 3 times, circling the earth.
What's the band?
Chic.
You know when people be dropping their accolades and be like, I was working with the #1 telecommunication company in the world.
Thanks.
That's what's up. It's so interesting to hear. I always love when creators whom I believe consciously understand themselves to be creators identify and articulate who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your name often, primarily, I would say, is given to you. And I know, at least for me, the way that I've gone through life answering, who is Kelsey Davis, has changed as my level of consciousness and connectivity to self, as well as connectivity to purpose and my connectivity to my relationships, right? And to what I'm connected to. It kind of recreated and reconstructed the way that I see self, and then almost kind of what I affirm and what I put out there when people ask who I am, Why is that important for both of you?
I think it's good to differentiate, who you are. It's good to know who you are too. Some people are still searching. We have a lot of people that, they window shop and they'll buy the outfit on the mannequin, or they'll go in the store and put an outfit together. And I'm that person. I'm going to go rummage. I'm going to go find the goods.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it together and create it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, we obviously say every human is a creator. And I think a lot of people, people who don't maybe operate in a more traditional creative field, whether that's music, film, the visual arts, would be very quick to say, oh, I'm not a creative, or I'm not creative. And I think that for me, I'm always like a little heartbroken when I hear that, because I feel like that means like, oh, like I'm not connected to my gifts, in the understanding at least that this is this unique thing that was given to me that I could tap into to produce, or to literally make fruit from, right? I often say like creating, it's like going from seed to table, but like from you, like you're the seed, right? And so anything that you are creating, whether that is a song, a podcast, or a spreadsheet, or a dispensary, or whatever, right? Like that is your creation, right? Like that's what makes us human. You know what I'm saying? How have you guys navigated that, right? How old were you, I would say, like when you first realized, okay, I'm a creator, and what was that thing that you were creating?
Well, I was fortunate to have a father that was a creative that I could see. So I was like, oh yeah, I want that. So I know in the 6th grade, I walked in, shout out to Mr. Fincher too. I still talk to Mr. Fincher, my music teacher. But I walked in the music class and I didn't see my name on the list as one of the guys in the group. And I'm like, man, he must not know I can sing. So every day, I mean, that whole day I was mad. All day I was mad. Like, man, how am I going to get in this group? So I ended up missing my bus. I went and knocked on Mr. Fincher's door. And he said, hey, he said, I'm usually not here. You caught me. I said, I feel like I need to be in that group, Mr. Fincher. He said, oh, really? He said, well, can you sing? And I put my backpack down and I sung End of the Road. And the next day I came and my name was on that chalkboard, So from that day on, it was like, okay, whatever I felt like I wanted to do, I could do it, especially if I put my mind to it.
Yeah.
And then, 9th grade, we were selling tapes. I had my own tape. It was me, my brother, and my cousin. And the group was 74110. And the name was No Excuses. Yeah, so I was making money in 9th grade selling my tapes for $5, so it's a lifestyle.
What was what was kind of your philosophy at that time? Like when I hear 9th grade selling tapes, $5, it's like, I think people in a modern day age, like they think about Nipsey Hussle. I think maybe now like a Lil Russell, when they think about, kind of this like supply chain distribution, independent model of taking your art, distributing to community. Like, where did you gain that from? Was that your dad?
That was my dad. My dad was a monster when it came to that. Like he had us opening up for, Jodeci. He had us opening up for Keith Sweat.
In Tulsa?
In Tulsa, yeah.
Okay, so tell the people about this, right? Because I moved to Tulsa early this year, right? Obviously I've done my research. I'm fortunate to have homies like you who can educate me around, Tulsa. Yes, obviously it's building now, it's rising, but arguably it's never died, right? The spirit, at least, right? When we think about 100 years ago, Black Wall Street, like, what was going on, even 120 years ago, right? 130, 40 years ago, right? When he was coming in, late 1800s, right? Like there was a mindset, there was a spirit, and that spirit has continued the evolution of this city that I believe deeply understands community, but also the importance of protecting community and commercializing within community. And something that was huge was obviously like Tulsa is at the heart of Route 66, right? The country basically goes through Tulsa, right? And so from a music standpoint, the same has been true historically, right?
Right.
Tell me about that.
Well, we're actually working on a building, the Big Ten Ballroom, and the Big Ten was on Black Wall Street as a pool hall, but we couldn't drink alcohol or sell alcohol on Greenwood, so they moved it to Apache, which was the end of the city. So you know about the Chitlin Circuit? Okay.
These old heads, bro. Come on now.
So, excuse me.
I'm still from Georgia.
All right. So Ike and Tina Turner, James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald, the whole nine. That was the only place that they could perform there, and so Tulsa was like one of the spots that they came to every week. They was like they got to see these people, and we just restored the building, December 31st. If everything goes as planned, this is going to be our first event there, which is Marlin Hall. We got Marlin coming in and do yoga, so we want to fill that whole spot up, and bless the building. But we've definitely been fortunate to be a part of history and with this music. And Pocket Full of Hope, which is our nonprofit, we teach kids life skills through music, theater, dance, video, photography, and technology. We've been doing this for 23 years. And just taking these kids from Tulsa, I think 15 kids came to Atlanta. I had a session with Ludacris in the game. I got to bring them in and sit in on the session.
And how wild is that, right? Because I know I met Natalie in Atlanta, right? I know you obviously knew Natalie from Tulsa, but that relink through Atlanta, right? I mean, when you first came to Atlanta, right? You wasn't bringing classrooms, right? What was that? What was that experience, or at least what did you learn while you were there that kind of brought you back full circle to do that now?
Oh man, that it can be done. Anything you put your mind to can be done. My dad used to always say, "How do you catch a buffalo?" Well, you got to go where they roam. You get in there and you start. We went up there for a music conference, and I was looking at all these celebrities like, oh man, they're like they're this close. Let's get out there. So I got out there, slept in the car the first 9 months just to be available. I was able to be with Mace. Shout out to Mace. Mace was like, yo, this is the gym you want to be at. This is the studios you want to be around, And the basketball court, that's where I met a lot of people, So it went from the court to now writing this song for R. Kelly. It went from the court to now on Rich Boy's album, It went from the court to now I'm in here with Justin Bieber. It's like,
and that's Atlanta.
That's Atlanta. Yeah. So and Atlanta was amazing. I mean, Natalie went up there and racked up. Lecrae, shout out to Lecrae, to Dashi, that whole squad over there, man. They are a amazing team over there. Yeah. So I was blessed to be in that ballpark. But Folami, I met Folami through a sensitive situation. It was I brought my guy Kofi Brahim. Matter of fact, you have a picture of Kofi's. I met Kofi in Atlanta, and he says, you know what? I have $25 million. I'm tired of Atlanta. What you got for me? I said, well, I got the whole north side of Tulsa. Let's go. So we get to Atlanta. We get to Tulsa, and we're doing what entrepreneurs do. We're doing what creatives do. You're getting in and you're fixing your everything. Getting everything lined up, and my guy just, he was like, you know what, I'm ready to go to heaven. And I'm at this point I'm confused because it's like trying to stop a train, and you like, what? And rest in peace, Kofi, man. But I met Folami through Facebook because she's who was around when this happened?
Well, let me just say that how I met Kofi. So Kofi is the supreme creator. He was one of those like focal points in Atlanta that made himself available for creatives. And he was a veteran. He was, I think, Clark Atlanta grad. He did so many things, from fashion lines to hand-drawn art, which is one of the pieces that you have, to curating events and being that guy at the club that's always there dancing everybody down. That's how I met Kofi on the dance floor. I'm like, who is this African guy over here getting it in? Because I danced Congolese dance all of my childhood. So when I saw him dancing like that, I'm like, what? So me and Kofi had a relationship that it was a great friendship because I was in awe of his creativity. You know? So when I found out about his passing, which he unfortunately committed suicide here in Tulsa, which is where Lester was getting to, but just to know that he was like one of the reasons why I made certain choices in my life, because he was trying to tell me, like, don't leave Atlanta. Because I was telling him, like, Atlanta is so, because there's things when you're going to new places. I'm from California.
I feel like that's every black woman say
everybody
in Atlanta.
goes. I mean, even just coming to new places, like, you just have to feel it.
I don't know if I ever heard a black man say that about Atlanta.
Right.
But at the time, it was sort of like a transition going on.
Yeah.
And I told him I was ready to go. And he was like, see, that's the problem with people and how they feel about Atlanta. Because when you leave, then you leave everything that you bring. And now we're all separated. So I took that really to heart. But I was online because I was like, he was still conscious. He didn't go through with it all. He still stayed alive. And so I was trying to go online and find somebody, because he was a close friend of mine. I hadn't seen him in years, but I just really wanted to know where he was. So that's how we ended up connecting, because of course it happened in Lester's home here in Tulsa. Yeah. So that's how we met.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said social media, it sounded like she was just sliding into your DMs. Okay. Moving forward.
Specifically trying to find out what happened to him, because it was a lot of banter going on. It was a fake GoFundMe account that came out. People from around the world. He was a real celebrity. So it was all this stuff. Like, it was almost like a lightweight Nipsey.
Yeah.
But, not on a large scale, because he wasn't, that grand. But he was. Yeah. He was, like, on the ground. He was that dude. Yeah. And he did have money. Yeah. When I knew him and we were going all these places, he was always that dude with money. Yeah. That I didn't get to see. Yeah. It was nice to be in Atlanta too and see a lot of black people with money. Yeah. And to know someone that got a penthouse in downtown, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, people always say, I moved from Black Hollywood to Black Wall Street. And people ask me, they're like, oh, but like, why would you move away from like all these black people who are, so successful, right? And I think it's interesting because, I'm born and raised in Atlanta, and it's like, yes, Cobb County. We'll argue it later. That's Clayco speaking in the background. But yeah, and so for me, I always understood, I had a black doctor, we had a black lawyer, you know what I mean? It was like, I always saw, yes, black wealth, but it was very individualized, right? It was almost like, everybody's still hustling and going and getting it, and then, going and getting mine and putting it over there, but we're not necessarily living amongst each other. We're not necessarily commercing amongst each other. Yes, relationally, we share a network in the way that we create and build. But, there's not particularly the level of, in my opinion, sustainability that's at least communally existed and that's been able to exist in a city like Tulsa, right? And I think that, even a big part of my move was wellness, right? It's like I'm a creator and I got to protect my ability to create and to sustainably create, right? And for me, and you were honestly part of this experience, like when I first moved here, I realized I was like, whoa, like you could literally build a utopia around you within a 5-mile radius, if even that, of all of the things that you need. Yes, you could say, okay, we're in a food desert, and you know what I mean? Like, we don't necessarily have as much infrastructure as these other cities, but the people have everything that we need in Tulsa. And a lot of times it's about building the right bridges, getting the right resources into the hands of people, and ultimately protecting our wellness, right? And for me, Motherland, I would say, in my opinion, is kind of like the core when it comes to when I think about the intersection of culture and wellness in North Tulsa, right? I know, you kind of have talked to me about your experience of birthing Motherland, right? Tell me about that, especially in this context, right? Kofi, wellness, right? You moving back to Tulsa, now having kind of this time and opportunity to pour into something, right? Talk to me about that.
Motherland, man.
What is Motherland?
Motherland is my peace. Like when I used to come back to Tulsa, like every summer to help my father with a pocket full of hope, but it would be my grounding. It would be me coming back and, resting from all of the licks outside of Tulsa, which is, the other side of the world I looked at. But I always had the mindset of bringing like-minded individuals back here to wipe this gold off, per se, so Motherland was, is more about, like I said, peace, my mental health. And I wanted to spread that throughout the community, especially where I grew up from. I grew up, 5 blocks away from the Motherland. The nonprofit is 3 buildings down from the Motherland. The Big Ten Ballroom is walking distance up the street from, So that whole area has always been a space that I wanted to uplift anyway. So Motherland is it's like a safety net. It's almost like how Quick Trip is. You can go to Quick Trip because it's going. You already know it's going to be a police there. If it's lights. So even with the Motherland, it's it's all about health and love and wellness and peace. As soon as you come in, we want to hit you with your senses of smell and welcome home and the love that we give our family.
Yeah.
So
how's that been building, right? This is a new thing, right, that you guys are creating, right? At the time, primarily seems like in music. Come Home, Motherland is created. Now we're building a dispensary. What was that like?
That was a true creative process in its totality.
Yeah.
Like, we come from, cannabis and entertainment being used. It's a thing. It goes hand in hand with most entertainers. Even before, he told me before that jazz musicians really didn't take you seriously if you didn't smoke marijuana. So putting it together, we are creative beings. This is what we do. We come from entertainment, and now we're diving into a new frontier of cannabis, that's now back allowed, because it was allowed in the 40s in all pharmaceuticals. Nobody really knows that.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a book.
Tell me more
There's
about
a
that.
book Dr. Regina Nelson wrote, and in the first chapter, it talks about, the usage of hemp inside of all pharmaceuticals. But that was in the 40s. And so what happened is they realized that it was making people feel better. And they had to find a way to monetize so that people can keep coming back and getting the stuff that they're producing on the market as pharmaceutical drugs. But if you're feeling better, then you're not going back.
Right.
So that's the thing. And so they took it away, and they made it, to make people feel like it was dangerous and that you can die from it, and it took years, and it finally had a strong impact. And so here we are today trying to reinsert it back into our lives.
How much is like re-education also like for the community or like for people? How much is education?
It's it's a big deal. There's so many things, and we're still learning, but there's so many things about this wonder plant that a lot of people don't know. And so that is where that nucleus of like creation is dear to me, because that means that I can take something that somebody like myself doesn't know, and I can educate them in my terms, on my time.
Yeah.
You know, and so when people come to the Motherland, it's like that one-stop shop of like finding things that they need to know.
Yeah.
You know, before you leave, let's just say you come in and you're talking about the pain that you have. Well, we're going to give you information that's going to help you with your pain, and also how to alleviate the pain going forward, and not just having to use cannabis as your only result, because as we know, it takes a lot more work than just consuming cannabis to feel better.
Yeah.
You know, so you'll still leave there with stretches that you need to do every day. You'll still leave there with understanding how water is really important to your well-being and your daily life. So
are these things you guys have always known?
Yeah, a lot of it has. I come from a family that has been very holistic most of my life, and all of my life, really. We also have been very creative. I have two parents that are creatives as well. And so, you know, when you are a child of creators and it's so heavily influenced in our lifestyle, because I grew up in a school that my mom ran, and she decided to create the school because she didn't want her children to be to deal with what's going on in the public school system. So that's how my parents met, in the public school system. And she went and started her own daycare that turned into a school that ran till 12th grade. So I didn't actually go to public school until I was in freshman in high school. So just to put all that so you understand, like, you know, it really takes, it's everything. It's everything to have creative beings that created you. So now whatever you put your hands on, you some way know how to mold that creation for whatever manifestation that you need. You know, and so that's what I see the Motherland, and that's how we were able to create. We used our experiences as entertainers. We use our experiences as world travelers. We use all of these things that we know, and we insert it into what we have. So the decor, even, you know, that was a process. You know, why were we going to change it to look like somebody's house? And when people come inside, they're like, what? This is my grandma. This is my, and it's so every corner of the room, there's
tangible.
Something that makes you feel like, you know, you can break the clinical, you can break the stigma with just that alone. And not to mention, I'm traveling to all the places that do have cannabis where it's not even considered so medicinal, it's recreational. And so when you go into the coffee shops, let's just say in Amsterdam, it's a vibe like what you feel right now, you know, and it's like grabbing a cup of coffee. Literally, you know, so it's not so hard. So we took that to consideration when we created the Motherland and when we created the decor.
In a place like Oklahoma, right? But it's interesting, right? Because what do they say? It's like Oklahoma almost has more dispensaries and grocery stores, something like that, or like Tulsa. And how is that? You know, being in a state where, you know, when it comes to legislation, when it comes to, you know, socially, you know, how important is it to still, I guess there's a freedom, right, that has to come from that, right? And does it ever feel like you're pushing against a current or a tide that's like, it's almost like you're always almost like arguing with the status quo to some degree?
I would say yes, there is a small feeling of that, but we like to say that everybody can eat. And if you feel that way, then that's what you focus on. If you focus on what the naysayers are doing or what the parameters are, the box that you're put in, then you're going to stay in that box.
You're going to only be able to create within that.
So we have to always be conscious of staying outside the box and breaking those stigmas just with everything. So like he said, you know, I burn a special incense from Dubai. I make sure that we speak a different language that you don't get to hear every day. I make sure that the music that you hear is not what you get to play on your top 40 radio when you're driving down the car to get to us.
Yeah.
When you come in, you're going to feel something different because it's about the mood, it's about the vibe, and it's a 360, like I said.
Yeah.
So everything in there is holistically curated just for somebody to have a great experience.
Yeah.
And a great experience buying something that is illegal in other states, that is healing them. So now we're working on total wellness with your mental and having the comfortability to always want to come back and try something different, or to say, hey, help me with this. And now you're comfortable coming in and getting counsel. And that's what the beauty of all of it is we were able to be creative enough to expand our minds, to figure out ways to do things differently so that people can still get the same thing that they're getting elsewhere and more.
Talk to me about mindset, right? How do you guys approach mindset? And what is it that you're trying to help people with when it comes to their mindset? Because it seems you mentioned, holistic wellness, right? Being able to think about things sustainably. Everything has to do with how are we making sure that people have the right mindset, so that we can create, so that we can exist, so that we could fly, so that we could flourish. What do y'all do? What's kind of like your routine to accomplish good mindset?
Well, I will say that one thing that we strive and pride ourselves on is being available. And that's what gives people comfort. It gives you the mindset. If you know you can come into a space and there's somebody going to be there that looks like you or has the same
that's
ideas of you.
Word to use for how y'all at least like made me feel, or like whether it's like y'all at the housewarming, like me coming through to the crib, like it's like available energy, like your energy is a posture of availability.
Yeah, I think that's a strong key. And now that you're saying it, that's exactly what we do. We're available for people to be able to receive the information. And I feel like that speaks volumes. I mean, think about when you feel like you're alone. Everybody feels alone in their own wellness. They do. And it is up to you by yourself. You have to have the discipline to be able to say, I'm going to drink my 8 glasses of water today. And if you didn't, then that's on you. And so sometimes people want accountability partners. They want to be able to say, hey, I'm in this group where we're about to do this. And then here you come with group efforts, because that's really what it's about. We're all one. We're all connected, So you want to be able to give people that understanding that you are not alone, because that's what I feel like a lot of things in our culture here in America, it makes you feel you're so individualized and you have to be just by yourself. You have to have your own business and you have to have your own business but like, look at this room. Everybody is here for one cause, and that is what makes things move. That's how we get things done. And you can't stand there and win an Oscar and not thank anyone. So to create a space to give people an opportunity to express themselves or figure out something and know it's going to come from people who are dealing with it, because we tell them stuff that we deal with, that we're working on. So I feel like that's something that is to hold on to, is that we are available to give you the information you need so that you can create and you can build upon. I've had patients that come in the store and they're like, I'm about to leave, I'm about to move. And I say the same thing that Kofi told me. If you leave here, then you are gone. And you're not going to have any presence here. And all that you're trying to create and you want to do elsewhere, but you're not getting that help, it's going to go away from Tulsa. And so that's why I feel like, expressing that to people. And fortunately, that patient came, she stayed here, she's living here, and she's doing great things for the community now. And it's amazing. It gives me chills to have that feeling, to hope that I had a part in saying like, stay,
It seems like knowing that you're welcomed home and having the comfort to be vulnerable often is what makes us feel more capable, right? To have that better mindset, right? To be, honestly, you mentioned discipline. My word of the year is obedience. I feel like for me as a creator, it's like there are oftentimes it's like I can get these messages or get these thoughts, whether it's from God, myself, to say, all right, this is what I need to do. This is a decision I need to make. And often the only time I don't, it's fear. right? It's there's something in me that is thinking within the box, that's trying to create within a box, and not just saying go, right? And just trusting, right? And that's not just having faith on nothing. It's literally having the belief, but also the discipline to self. Like it's choosing that, like, hey, like I believe in this thing enough. I believe in myself enough that I'm going to show up for that every single day. Right. Yeah. I tell my girl all the time, it's like, yo, like for me, health is super important. I've talked to you kind of about this too. Like I need to get healthy, like not just for, I'm 6 months plant-based right now. But it's deeper than that. I need to be drinking water. I need to be working out more. And it's not for the external. It's like my body, my mind, my soul, like needs it. Right. I can show up better, right? Like when you're healthy. And then that allows me to be the vessel that I need to be, right? Energy can literally flow through me better when you're not clogged, right? You have a better ability to shift, to pivot, to make decisions, to have foresight, to lead people, to speak clearly, because you are okay, right? Like you're not suffering. Like you, whether that is physically, mentally, spiritually, you're creating from not a position of lack, right? But already having that foundation. Talk to me, Lester, like what does that look like for you on a day-to-day?
Well, I start my day out stretching.
What time you wake up?
It's about, I mean, it depends on what time I go to sleep. I might get 7,
Okay.
You know. 7 is a good.
Yeah.
I usually try to pick out the numbers. I wake up and like in my mind, I'm figuring out, okay, it's 7:13.
Yeah.
I've done that.
But I get up, stretch. You know, we have I have my mom living with me now, so there's certain minerals that I give her that I give myself as well, and Folami as well. And it's this workout that I have. It's called 300. And it's 10 exercises 30 times. That's the goal. And I have a nice balance. I might do a shake, smoothie or something in the morning. Then we're off.
We have our green water as well. That we take. It's basically, you know how you have you purchase fish and you create an aquarium for them, but you just can't put tap water inside that fish tank, you know? So we prepare our water just like we prepare water for the fish, because they actually say if a goldfish doesn't live in the water, then that's something you don't need to be drinking. So we have to go in and, you know, reinsert things in our water. And it's definitely something that we have, you know, daily. We give our dogs the same water. And it's really important to our lifestyle. Yeah. We also do a water fast, and that particular fasting we definitely connected on, because we started to see results that 9 times out of 10 most people will see in a year's time, but you can actually get certain results after 14 days of water fasting.
What's a water fast? Just straight water?
Straight water.
Water.
Coconut water and the minerals that you need. Because you still need certain things for your electrolytes. You still need, you know, other supplements. But you can survive off of water for at least 14 days without having real side effects.
What do you feel like are the, how does that bear fruit to your business?
Well, we actually are distributors of the particular program that comes from Atlanta. And that's one thing.
Results. That's for me. It's about the results. 'Cause, you know, a lot of people don't have the information that we have. So when you have this type of information, and the people that listen, or the people that can afford to get this, you know, these drops, life changing.
Definitely.
And I mean it, man. It's like, it's like, wow. I mean, I even have my mom on dementia. My mom has first stage dementia. We've given her these drops and see a hell of a difference, you know. I mean, from tumors, cancer, to migraines, weight loss,
acne,
you name it, like fast. And a lot of times people, I can't eat for 14 days. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the reason. But if you can just tap into that discipline, like
So basically, meaning like you know how people say whatever you say, like it's true in the sense of whether you're speaking life or speaking death. That's going to be the reality.
yes, period.
Yeah.
So you think things like that just come to will? Like, do you want to do not?
Do you have the discipline to live?
That's a tall order.
Talk about as we wrap this up, sustained wellness, right? When I think about for me as a creator, and for my friends in my life, I'm very good relatively, I would say, at like creating order or like creating boundaries or like just I've had to learn over time because I'm naturally just like I like to serve, like I like to help, like I don't know if it's the creator in me, the Black woman in me, I just feel that like to take care of something and nurture it like to life because I see the potential in it, and it's like like I really want to help. But I've had to realize over time, well, I'm expected, especially now I'm known Kelsey Davis, creator, collective, like I'm expected to kind of create on demand, if you will, right? Whether that's in the context of business, you know, whatever. And I've realized the moments when I can't, it's because I did not give to myself, or I did not. I was saying yes too much and said no. I didn't get the right hours. You know, I drank the night before when I knew I probably shouldn't have. And so I've had to learn. It's a matter of, okay, I know that yes, I'm doing things now because I want to do something. But it's really, I know the longer term thing that I'm trying to get to. And if I don't protect myself and my mind and my body and my spirit, I literally will not be able to sustain my ability to create. So I may be able to create on demand right now. I might not be able to do that all the time on demand, right? And so I've had to realize, like, I can't afford that, right? Like, just my individual, right? How important is it for you guys as complete holistic creators, right? To sustain, right, your wellness? Like we're talking about like living like life, right? I think there's a balance between even creativity and life itself. Like I would argue, like you think about self-actualization, like that is creative expression, being able to know like, oh, I got all my needs taken care of physically, you know, I got community, I got family, I got self-esteem, like, and now I'm floating, I'm creating every day. You know, but if you're not well, like there's no way to, you're always struggling, you're always having to compensate for that deficit that you have, right? So talk to me about the importance of just life, sustained wellness. I mean, as a dad, as a business owner, as a creator.
Oh man, you have to plan. Folami is big on planning.
I'm the planner too.
Write it down, plan, you know, and say no. No is just as equal as yes. Like, you know, and if people don't understand that, then, you know, we don't need to be doing business anyway, you know. As well as practice. You learn, you know, I have these things that I call practice. I practice certain things, you know, every day, you know, because we're creatures of habit anyway. So once you start practicing the things and know your end goal, you know, you put your end goal into your life's GPS and it's going to get you there just like it just got me here. The GPS got me here, you know. What was it, 3105? You know? So, you know, you put that in and it's going to show you the way. Boom, boom, boom. You know, and you know, all right, if I'm over here, you know, it's still just going to get you a whole nother route. It's going to still put you on back on route. But why are you over here? You know, but first you got to know your end. You got to know your end goal, you know, and I always say that, like, what's your end goal? And are you practicing? My son wanted to play basketball. I said, all right, well, first thing we're going to practice is these free throws. You're going to get fouled, you know, so you go to the goal, go to the rack, boom, they foul you. You've been practicing that free throw, you know, so start practicing the things that you want to see happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'll add to that, sustainability sometimes also comes with inclusion. You know, I heard somebody talk at music conference the other day, and she was the lady who put together Church Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that she said is that it's really important to have her business plan. And the reason why is because when she's no longer here, somebody else can finish the plan that she already started. So when you feel that you're creative and you have your way, you also need to include other people in that, just in case you want to continue that
share
legacy.
Vision. Because
you don't know how serious that creation could be. There's billion-dollar ideas all the time that you come up with, but it's just a lack of team and effort that is the only thing that's holding you back, or finances. You know what I'm saying? So it's great to have other people that can learn as you grow. So you want to include the youth. You want to include people that are conscious and aware and want to be a part, because then that helps you to stay strong too. It gives you a purpose to keep fighting for what you think you want to do and create. And so you want to have apprentice. You want to find volunteers. You want to find other people like-minded so that your strength stays strong, because you now have other people around you helping you. And even if it's a small idea, I'm going to do a book. Well, this person's going to help me do the graphics. This person's going to help me do that. And now you have more people involved. So just in case, something, God forbid, your vision is still already in place. And you can continue on without you even being there. Another thing for sustainability is to understand your breath. Understand how important it is to breathe. You forget to breathe. And I actually looked at, I don't know if you shared it with me, but there was this Instagram post where you could see the inside of your brain and what it looks like when you actually breathe. I don't know if anybody has seen it. But it's a real important thing. So when people tell you, just take a minute and breathe, it's a real reason why. Because your breath is actually pumping oxygen in the right place to do certain things. So when you forget to breathe, that's like your sustainability is off. Just like you said, you have to be well to perform. I even tell my workers, like, listen, you're going to eat that cheese pizza today, and then next week you come in here trying to call out because now you're claiming that you have a cold. But it's really your congestion that you're trying to get out of you that you just ate. And for us, after we've done our fast, we know immediately when you fall off your rock, you start to feel a certain way. And for us, it happens immediately. It's not like a long wait before you see the results of what you did wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to understand breath and also, sustaining just, your holistic wellness. It's hard, and we fall off, but if you have it written down, and maybe it's on your wall somewhere, you have a special place in your house that you kind of regroup. A lot of people have calendars in the kitchen. Like, that is what's going to keep you sustaining, That's what's going to keep everybody around you that come in your house. This is what page I'm on.
And then you just got to stay with it.
You have to stay with it. And just don't beat yourself up when you fall off. Everybody falls off. Everybody.
That's literally part of being human.
It's very much human. So, you have to just come with the mindset of, this is what my tasks are today. Let's try to complete them before the day's over. Try to be as happy as you can and know that it's always going to be work. It's always going to be something to do.
Have a cutoff time too. Lights even get cut off.
I know that's right. I'm really into that. Heavy. Sometimes you gotta enforce that bedtime. You know what I mean? No, for real.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, like for real.
It's enough.
Yeah, facts. All right, so this is the Every Human podcast. At Collective we say every human is a creator. Right? When you guys hear that phrase, what does that mean to each of you?
Whatever you put your mind to, it's attainable. With a little bit of elbow grease, a little knowledge, you know what I mean? No fear. I've always walked this journey with no fear, I've looked at them as lessons if I do fall off. Well, I can't walk that way no more, So, just as kings and queens, we got to keep our head up so our crown won't hit that ground. You know what I mean? So that's my take.
The first thing that comes to mind is when I was in college, my vocal coach told me that everybody can sing. Now, can everybody sing well?
No, I cannot.
Or is it popular for people to that whole like, oh, they sing better than you? It's not the point. everybody can sing. So we all are creative. That's the nature of what we do. I mean, we're selling goods. If you're working, you're selling
Yes,
something.
I say we say
whether you create it.
If we want to help creators monetize their human IP. Like that's how it's like art. If you're doing something, you're laboring anyway.
Yeah.
It's a labor.
Yeah.
So, it's just everything. So we all can sing. And that takes a level of creativity. And not to mention now music today is not even tonal. So not singing is not even a problem anymore for certain people. I don't know what's happening with their frequencies or where they want us to be in this zone of not hearing tonal music, but everybo's still singing, they're creating.
Yo, we could take that way deeper next episode.
Yeah, next episode.
Yo, I was like, she's saying some stuff.
So I feel like, it's exactly what it is. Everybody has the power to create whatever it is they want to. It's up to where you put yourself, who you align yourself with, and how confident you are.
I love that. If you guys can make a message to every human, if you could say anything to every human, what would that be?
Forgive fast and love more.
Dance every day.
Well, I feel like if those two things are happening, this world would definitely be a better place. So, Lester, Folami, family, thank y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank
I appreciate y'all.
This is great. This is great. This is great. This is great.